Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So if you saw my last video, then you know that I talked about wanting to start incorporating book content into my channel. So I thought this would be a good way to start off is to do a reading wrap up for the month of January. These are all the books that I completed last month, and I just figured I would share that with you guys. So this first one, these are in no particular order, by the way. This first one is the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. It says a pocketbook guide to fulfilling your dreams. So this book was a really good read. I read this very quickly in the afternoon. It was nice to kind of shut off the daily, noise and everything that's around me whenever I'm got like a million things to do and I know that I need to be cleaning, or I know I need to be doing that or this or whatever. I decided to just sit down and read this in between doing different tasks that I needed to do around the house, including cooking and things like that. And I finished this very quickly. Anytime I read any type of spiritual or self-help book, I go into it knowing that you really kind of have to, eat the meat and throw away the bones, or whatever the saying is, because there's always going to be things that you don't necessarily agree with. I know that's the case for me because I'm just a very opinionated person, so I'm not going to necessarily agree with or subscribe to everything the writer says. And then there's a lot of things that I do agree with, usually, that, or not every time, but in this case with this book, there was a lot of things that I agreed with, and things that you can take away and apply to your own life. But a lot of this was things that I already believe, and this just kind of like reinforced those beliefs. This was a really good read, and I rated it 4 stars. Okay, this next book, Pretty Baby by Mary Kubica. This book started out okay, and once I got 3/4 of the way, I pretty much had everything figured out, so the ending was really not that good. Also, parts of the ending were just not very believable. So this book, like I said, it started out good because the suspense is done well, but this book is also marketed as a psychological thriller. And I didn't necessarily fit this in that category once I was finished reading it. Because of that, I rated this 3 stars. There just wasn't a lot of twisty turns. And even the plot twists that were in the book, like you could kind of, already see what was coming. And it was super easy to figure out. So that's not what kind of book I like to read when I read psychological thrillers. So this was more like a suspense to me. But, I mean, it was good for the most part, and it's about this girl who has this little baby with her, and she's on the streets, and this really kind woman takes them in, and everybody at her house is freaking out about it because they're like, we don't know this person, she could be dangerous, and things just start happening, and the story goes from there. But like I said, this was very easy to figure out, and I just don't really like reading books like that when I want to read a good psychological thriller. So this to me was more suspense than anything, and by the ending I was just kind of like, wow, like I really didn't enjoy this like I thought I was going to, or like I did more towards the beginning. It almost made me not want to pick up anything else by Mary Kubica, but I was like, this is the only book that I've read by her, and maybe this just wasn't a very good one. So maybe I'll give her another chance. But you guys comment and let me know. Do you read Mary Kubica? And what are some good books that you've read by her, if you've read any good ones? This was a 3-star read for me. So this next book is The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. This is another self-help book. Again, there were things in this that I really agreed with and was able to apply to my own life. And those parts of the book were super helpful. But then, of course, there's parts that I don't necessarily subscribe to or agree with. And that's okay. I'm totally fine with feeling that way when I read a self-help book, because I know that, more than likely that's how I'm going to feel when I read a self-help book. And I'm okay with that. So this was still a 5-star read for me, and I did enjoy it, and I do recommend it. Then we have The Alchemy of Your Dreams, a modern guide to the ancient art of lucid dreaming and interpretation. So this book was another self-help book, and this was pretty good. I am really into paying attention to my dreams and like dream interpretation and things like that. So I definitely enjoyed this. This book also talks about lucid dreaming, and so that was interesting to read about. And I believe that I rated this 4 stars. Again, with it being self-help, there's always going to be usually things that I can take away from this book, that take away from these types of books that are applicable to my daily life, or nightly life in this case, with it being about dreaming. But then there's also things I don't necessarily subscribe to or agree with, and that's totally fine. I believe I rated this 5 stars. So then the next book I read was Then She Was Gone. This book is really good. I enjoy Lisa Jewell and her writing style, and I just love psychological thrillers. So I figured I was going to like this, and it was pretty good. It was very like dark and kind of messed up or whatever, and I saw that there were people who said that you know, they had to DNF because they just couldn't get through it or whatever. But with it being fiction and me knowing that it's fiction, I wasn't like super triggered by it or anything. I will say that maybe look up the trigger warnings before you read this book, because there's definitely some things in it that are, like I said, kind of messed up. But it turned out to be a good read, and I believe I rated this. Well, I originally rated it 5 stars, but then I just thought about how there was some stuff in the book that was like, I don't know. It was kind of dark. This one was definitely a lot darker than the last book I read by her, which was Watching You. That book was just okay. I didn't care for it as much. But this one was good, but I did rate it 4 stars because it was kind of dark or whatever and really messed up. But I enjoyed reading it, and I want to read more books by Lisa Jewell because I've only read 2 by her so far. You guys comment below if you read Lisa Jewell. Let me know what your favorite book is by her. So yeah, that was all the books that I read this month. In total, there was only 5. But I feel like that's pretty good. My Goodreads goal for this year is 48 books. So I am on schedule. And let's see, I read 3 self-help and 2 fiction books. And so yeah, I'm okay with the video cut off, but I was saying that I'm happy with, you know, the amount of books that I read, and I do hope to complete more this month. But again, I am ahead of schedule, so let me know below, what are your Goodreads goals for this year, and how many books did you read in January, and what did you read? Like I said, my goal is 48 books, but I would like to read more than that. So we'll just see how it goes. But yeah, so these were all of my reads for the month of January. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to talk to you again soon. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.